Has reading her book helped you to start to think about what ducks you might need, let alone get them in order?
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Thorough.
I mean, I'm originally from the Philippines, so if you know anything about Roman Catholic Filipinos, they're basically, a lot of people had babies in their early 20s. Because if I was to go home now, I would just be like too old. Like they've completely written me off. Like I'm never gonna have kids or family and everything. So it's weird. I'm getting pressure from family. I mean, with people that I work with, I don't get as much pressure from them because they're also very, well, I want to, start my own, work as hard as I can. I don't even want a relationship because I want to get my career started. It's going to be great. So I'm kind of at the tipping point, I would say. But now I want to start making those things that I need to do. The skills needed to be a parent, and you've listed a bunch of amazing things, like the ability to be physically affectionate, to be committed, to be more open, having a really strong family and friends support and everything. And there was a lot there that I thought was like, okay, financial stability was one of them. I thought was a really important part. And I think also being like in Boston, I'm pretty new and I don't have that like support system yet. All my family is not even here.
It strikes me that being in your 20s, you can probably remember your childhood in better details than I can at this point. And so revisiting it.
I'm a child.
I remember having a very pleasant childhood, very loving. My family was very loving and I was very lucky that way. So thinking about having kids, I never doubted that I'd be a good parent or that I'd want kids. That's just what we did. We had the cousins running around, and it just didn't seem like an issue.
I had a challenging childhood. I would say there were some challenging issues within my family that I did think about when having children. I have two siblings, two sisters, neither of whom have children. One is married, one isn't. And there were some complicated moments that made me think, will I be a good parent?
Not having my own kids, I'm not feeling compelled at all to change a diaper.
Well, it sounds like your community was wonderful because you all gave each other alternate ways of being mothers and taking some of the good things of what you got from your mothers and then changing some other things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the women that were having children at the same time that I was close to, all had complicated relationships with their mothers. So that kind of wove into our parenting and that need to bond with each other and use each other as a resource when issues would come up.
My parents would move me from one school every year or two since I was 8 years old. So that kind of put a whole new level on like being committed to like other relationships, because I think I've gained the skills to be very, not completely very open to other people, because I know I'm going to leave I'm going to move to a new place. So like when I was growing up, that was very hard for me to like having very close relationships and all of a sudden just like, you got to go.
So did you lose friends in that process when they were having kids? And it makes for sometimes, I think, a bit of a cultural divide when you have couples that
because they're very
have
busy.
kids and couples that don't have kids.
There was that moment when you'd be on the phone with somebody and they'd be talking to you and then they go into their baby voice and talk to their kids, and it's like you just weren't there.
A kind of abandonment.
Right. And it would be over and over in a conversation.
One of the things that really strikes me listening to you, Steve, is you and your wife, what is your wife's name?
Pamela.
You and Pamela set out to become parents. You never expected to be child-free, and circumstances led you there. And some people for whom that happens are bitter and never quite settle down to enjoying their lives. And I'm just moved by the bigness of your hearts towards each other, towards children, towards life, that you took what life offered you, and within that You had a wonderful life with each other, enjoying the things you could enjoy because you didn't have kids.
But we don't have to worry about college funds
Yeah.
and things like that, and going to birthday parties and the back and forth with presents and things like that. We don't have that. We don't have the housing. We could live wherever we want. We could do all of that. So there's a lot of freedom.
So Sam, you're our millennial voice. Thank you so much for joining us and for representing. What's your take on all this information you're hearing? You're hearing three different perspectives on becoming a parent or not becoming a parent. Is there anything that's striking you?
To be honest, before I read Merle's book, I completely written off having a baby at all. Like I don't think that was in my radar really, because it's about, okay, I just moved to Boston. I'm gonna get settled first, get into CZTV and have an amazing award-winning show to make, and then I read it and then I realized that it takes so much planning. And look, what you were saying, does that throw me off to having a baby? Actually, it turned it almost the other way around, where I was like, there are a lot of issues that I need to deal with apparently, but I think this is the advantages of having that option and pursuing that direction. So I'm at this point much more open to it now than I was in a lot of ways, and I would never admit that to my parents.
Yeah.
Never. I mean,
We won't tell them.
How many people actually have children with the idea that I will have somebody to take care of me?
If there's nothing that appeals to you about teaching and tolerating a child's fear and anger and confusion and guiding them through that, then parenting is just too hard. And so if the only reason people are having children is someone to take care of them in old age, they may wind up very disappointed.
So Paula, you were about 10 years older than Sam is now when you first had your first child. Did you feel like you had conquered those adventurous demons, if you will?
Definitely got the career started, but the sort of adventure, no. I mean, not as much of the adventure. So I think that, although enough, I mean, I have to say my personality, I am somewhat of a homebody. So I like being at home. I like a sense of community. And so that is important to me. I'm less of an adventurer, although I love to travel. I thought, it's just going to have to put that on hold a little while.
And Sam, you said something, if you don't mind me asking, about now thinking about having a child and just meeting you. Let me ask you a personal question. Sure. How does it balance with relationships?
Yeah, I would love to be, in a really stable and strong relationship. And I mean, it's interesting that you were saying that the reasons why a lot of people have kids, and I thought, what is the main reason why I want to have kids? Is it because I want to watch them grow and develop, or is it because I'm needy and I need somebody to, because maybe if I'm single for some time, I need somebody to talk to. But I think the main reason was I do love the idea of having another, being that's a part of me that I know watching them grow and develop as much as I know that giving them something I didn't have when I was really small. Mm-hmm. That's a major. I was doing the chair exercise last night, actually, and I found out a lot about exactly what led me to this at this point in my life, when it's really weird because I never would have thought I would be. And one of the main reasons was, yes, I had this really, I don't think had a very strong family bond. I have really ridiculous mother issues. I mean, that's a whole nother show. Yeah, and I don't think I'm very close to my mom. I don't think my stepfather understood me. My biological father passed away when I was very young, so I never met him. So I didn't have a very strong and my stepfather wasn't super touchy-feely with me, and I know, and I have half brothers and sisters, and I know was, I think, treated much better than I was. Not being his child, so that was another like experience for me. So I know that if I have my own, like if I start my own family, I know exactly what not to do. I can tell you what. So I think it would make me very sad and also very happy to see that I could give somebody something I didn't have when I was a kid, and which is another thing. I'm like, I do, in a sense, I do want to travel. I do want to see a lot of these things, and I don't think I necessarily have to give up a lot because I know that I'd be able to compensate in another way, you know. But yeah, I would love to see somebody grow much happier and have a happier childhood, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very well put.
I mentioned earlier that I wanted to get a lot of my career under my belt before I had kids. One of the things I was able to do was really work part-time when they were little. And a partner who worked at home.
Yeah.
I had a husband who had was a telecommuter, so that was also helpful. So we found balance that way.
I remember when I was a child, a teenager, and my mom went back to work, and with my finger gun, I shot her, and she fell dead on the couch. And, you know, for a long time, and I started to get worried, and I ended up climbing on the couch and cuddling with her, and we both I fell asleep. We woke up, and I realized years later that what she did was she was just exhausted and needed a nap. So, and she found a way to overcome my anxiety about feeling like I killed her. We ended up taking a nap on the couch together.
That's a great memory.
Thank you so much for sharing all of these stories, these personal stories that you've had tonight.
Most of the time, most pregnancies, as you know, are completely fine and everything goes well, but sometimes unexpected things happen.
Were you nervous after all of your training? You'd been to graduate school, you'd counseled a million people about this test. Were you nervous getting your own test results?
So